Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this brand new Mojo Networks and Open Reality webinar, Make a Splash with Mojo Canvas. Now, shortly I'm going to be handing over to your presenters, who today are going to be Brandon and Jeff. Brandon is in place of Craig Charles, who you might have seen advertised on some of the flyers. Now, because we've got a number of people with us today, we've got the lines on mute, but obviously, please do feel free to ask any of your questions in the questions box. And if we don't answer them directly, we'll certainly try and answer them in Q&A at the end. Okay, what I'd like to do now is hand over to our first presenter, Brandon.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Good afternoon, everybody. As Carlos mentioned, my name is Brandon Biggs. I'm one of the wireless account managers here at Open Reality. As Carlos mentioned, Craig is not able to join us today, so I've stepped in to fill his shoes on this part. Also, just wanted to wish everyone a happy World Wi-Fi Day, if you weren't aware that that was the case. So, it's a good day to be talking about all things Wi-Fi. So, before I hand over to Jeff, I just wanted to quickly give us the audience a brief run through of who we are in terms of Open Reality. And my pointer is not working. It's always a good start. So, what we do. So essentially there's sort of two divisions to what we do in terms of Open Reality. So traditionally we started off in the sort of application performance and testing space, going back to 1999, so some time ago, and have since then evolved in various different ways, obviously into the more wireless distribution space, which is how we're talking about Mojo today. We also have another division of our business called Bright Cloud, which is focused more around the cloud-hosted and managed services type I guess, systems and offerings out to the channel and to our customers. So happy to have a chat around either of those, but I guess the key reason for being here today is to discuss Wi-Fi. So that's what we'll dive into now. So in terms of our wireless distribution, I thought it would be good to sort of set a standard or to set a sort of a baseline as to, again, why we are, who we are, and obviously what we're offering in terms of Wi-Fi in this sort of space. And so I thought we'd cover off on the sort of the life cycle of wireless. So as we move around the circle, you'll see various vendors will pop up, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how they all work together and how they all flow in that terms of the life cycle of wireless, as I mentioned. So starting off that life cycle, we begin with Ekahau, which is actually the initial or the original product that we began distributing going back about 11 or 12 years now in the wireless space. So Ekahau is essentially a tool that allows an end user or an IT admin or anyone of the sort to be able to design, deploy and validate a wireless network. So right through from getting an initial floor plan of a site, understanding what sort of physical environment you're working with, what sort of devices you're working with, your APs, your applications that are going to be used on the network, all those types of things, and taking that all into account and actually designing a network that is going to allow you to be able to meet and hit your criteria, either based on your internal KPIs or obviously that has been set by your customer. It also does allow you to be able to do all of your troubleshooting and your monitoring and also your validation post-deployment as well. So it's a pretty well-rounded tool set. As part of the next piece of that, we have something called Hive Radar, which I like to refer to as the sort of the Rolls-Royce, I guess you could say, of wireless survey kits. So anyone who's sort of deployed wireless in the past or seen wireless being deployed in the past, you may have noticed people hurrying around with what looks to be a big camera tripod with some cables hanging off it and a few other various elements. That's essentially what Hive Radar is, but squished down into a very sleek and very attractive type single appliance, essentially. So an all-in-one unit that allows you to be able to perform your AP on a stick surveys and validation surveys prior to actually, drilling the holes in the ceilings and mounting your access points. So just really making sure that you've hit the nail on the head in terms of your network coverage and requirements. Obviously, Mojo Networks, what we're here to talk about today, and obviously, simply brilliant cloud Wi-Fi. So we're going to hand over to Jeff, obviously, and he'll be covering off on some various elements of the Mojo Networks piece. So we've recently come on board with Mojo as a distributor at the beginning of the year or towards the beginning of the year. We've been doing a lot of exciting things with those guys, obviously webinars, educational events, Obviously, all that sort of thing is something that we offer. So very exciting times ahead. And yeah, so obviously, if we can assist in that front, definitely get in touch with us. Finally, to wrap out that life cycle, we've got a solution called 7Signal. So 7Signal is more of an ongoing performance management system for a wireless network. So something that you would perhaps deploy as an overlay solution to an existing network, perhaps a network that has issues, or you have access problems in getting on site, or you want a bit more visibility between what just your vendor offers and then having to send a man out on site. 7Signal sort of bridges that gap and acts as an end client, allowing you to actually troubleshoot and see exactly what the end user sees when they're having issues on the network. So a very, very high level overview, obviously, on what we do and how they all sort of fit together. Again, we're more than happy to have a discussion around any or all of these different solutions in a bit more detail if you do want to know some more. But I will, from here, hand over to Jeff for the main event. So again, questions while I hand back over. Again, feel free to put these any questions in the GoToWebinar pane. We'll obviously answer those as we go through. But until then, I will hand over to Jeff. Thank you so much.
Hello, and thank you, Brandon and Carlos, for the welcome, and I'm excited to be here. My name is Jeff Olson. I'm a senior manager. I lead product marketing at Mojo Networks. If you haven't heard of Mojo Networks, we're revolutionizing Wi-Fi through the power of cloud. We really believe in open standards, and we're focusing a lot of attention on open standards. And what we're most known for is our cognitive Wi-Fi, which is a self-driving network that makes things simple and reliable and at massive scale. We have some very, very large deployments. We have a lot of different customers that I'll talk about a little bit later in this session today of how they use our Mojo Canvas and other applications as part of their guest interface and guest engagement. So for today, that's what we're going to talk about, is how to make a splash with your customers, how to create a splash page quickly and easily. I'm going to give you a live demo. I have a few slides, but not too many, because I really want you to see the tool. That's where you'll really experience the power of it. One of the great things about Canvas is there's no experience needed. You know, I'm in product marketing, and everything you're going to see today in the demo I've done, I've created. I've put the pictures, the images. We're gonna build a site right here during the call. It's not complicated. It doesn't take. You don't need to understand HTML. You don't even really need to understand wireless all that much, other than incorporating it into your campaigns and your marketing and objectives for your company. And one thing to keep in mind is guest portals are an important part of your business. It represents your brand, right? So with that, let me move forward here. I just wanted to start with a simple picture here. You know, we all use guest Wi-Fi. We've all used it here, say at a coffee shop, at a store, retail, at a library, at an airport, right? It's part of our lives. We appreciate being able to access and get onto free Wi-Fi. Maybe you're traveling and you have various applications so you can connect. It's just part of our life, right? But when you see these people here, think about what you see the first time you sit down and you connect to someone's wireless inside of a business. The first thing you see is a splash page, or what's commonly called a splash page. That's what greets your guests. It greets your customers. It represents you, and you really need to. So think of this. This is just as important as the front door or the windows or the decor inside, right? I mean, if you think about this is really a part of your brand and how you want to be known. Do you want to be known for having brilliant quality, easy to access Wi-Fi? Maybe using that Wi-Fi so your customers can find things more easily about your business. Maybe you tailor the service directly to them. We have one customer who, when they recognize repeat visitors, they try to play and select music that they know that the visitors enjoy, right? So you know certain people have entered your establishment. Maybe you know, as you're working through your song list, maybe you put in a song that they enjoy. That type of thing, really personalizing the time while they're there. So when you think about this, think about the last time you used a guest Wi-Fi where you're like, wow, that was great. It worked well, it was easy to get on, it was helpful, maybe the menu was displayed to me, or maybe I was in an airport lounge and it easily got me to the flight information I needed, or I was shopping and they gave me information. Think about one that you thought was great and excellent, you really appreciated. And then think of one that wasn't so good. We've all had those where, you know, what am I doing? I've clicked on it, the screen isn't displaying, or you think you've connected and then the Wi-Fi is not very good, it's dropping, or these types of things, right? We've all had bad experiences as well. So there's many things to make that happen, and we're going to focus more today on Canvas and the design tool, but there's a lot all the way through, right, to do a quality network. You know, as Brandon and Carlos showed with their overview, everything from the site survey to performance to how you deploy your network. I mean, there are many, many aspects to having a quality Wi-Fi engagement that relies on that network being set up correctly, and all of those things certainly are very important. But your guests are going to see something like this. You know, on the laptop, they're going to see a larger format that has more information, that's eye-catching, and allows them to connect easily. On their mobile device, a Samsung phone, iPhone, iPad, whatever type of device, there'll be a smaller form of the same thing. And you really want to think about what are your campaigns, what's your brand objectives, and build that into these web pages. So back to when you're thinking of a great experience or another experience, you know, I would leave you with the question of, you know, what would you create if you had a tool that made this simple and easy? You didn't have to go to your IT team and have them build you a fancy HTML page or hire a contractor to make a special page. Perhaps you're at a small business and you don't have an IT team. You don't have a lot of resources, right? How are you even going to build a page? You know, so if you had the ability, what kinds of things would you like to see? Matter of fact, what does your guest Wi-Fi look like today, that page? And how could it be improved? I'm sure you can think of some great things that you would love to put on that page. So how do you make a splash with your customers? So quickly, Canvas, which is the topic of this, is just one part of the overall solution, Mojo Networks, right? There are many components. Canvas is a interactive design application that's hosted in the cloud, and it provides everything you need. And if you've used, you know, PowerPoint or Word or, you know, most, you know, applications for business users, you'll have no trouble using this application. It's very simple. It has buttons and things to click. You can see here in the middle, it's highlighted in a red dashed line. Hopefully you can see that. That's around the social logins, but there's a little gear on the side there, and then there's a little puzzle piece which lets you move things around, etc. So you have this studio with your splash page, and you can move things around, you can edit, you can change text to make it align with what you need for your guest network. Some of the key things that you can do with it, as I've said, you create splash pages, which is that first page that greets your guest. You can create landing pages. Maybe you don't really have a landing page per se that's targeted to guests. Maybe you probably have a landing page for your business, but maybe you want a different landing page for guests. Maybe you want that to be the menu, or maybe you want that to be because they're there for an event, for music or something. Maybe you want something else to show up. You can create a landing page. And of course, you can integrate these pages together with other pages. No need for special skills, as I've said. And you can develop new ways to connect and share information. So right away, you can see over here on the side, you know, we have Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, right? There are different ways to interact. And that's part of them entering your portal easily. But then how do you interact with them later? Because now you have an engagement with them. You know who they are, you know more about them, you can provide that personalized service. So think about some of these cool ways, and I'll touch on those as we go through, but even things like we support SMS, where you can SMS messages to your customers or coupons. So, you know, very powerful things. We also can interface with a number of different solution vendors to do even more impressive things in terms of in-browser and ad insertion. So as they're shopping, as they continue through this, you can, you know, do pop-ups and things like that that we have happening now. We've all experienced also when you're using your phone. All of that is supported. And most of this, by the way, is completely built in and available with the cloud product. Things like that in-browser engagement, there is some third-party capabilities there that you would need to purchase. So quickly, there are tiles, there are widgets. I'm going to go to the demo, so we're going to see all this, but I just want you to think that every piece of the page is like a pane of glass with different pieces, and you know, you can move those around, you can change those, you can edit those to customize them to meet your needs. Okay, so it's best to see this live, but you know, I have it here in a slide as well. Things are organized as campaigns. So just quickly before we get in there, think of a campaign as, you know, maybe your basic campaign is what you use most of the time, during the week, all the time. And it's a collection of a splash page, a landing page, perhaps a coupon, perhaps SMS, maybe not. It might just be a splash page. That's your basic campaign. But the reason they're called campaigns is, say, your marketing people or your sales teams or whatever campaign you have going. Maybe it's summer sale, or, you know, we recently had, you know, basketball here, you know, so maybe it's the playoffs and you're having, you know, a special campaign around, you know, the championship game, right? And you're going to have special ads or special promos. So you could create a campaign called, you know, championship or World Cup, right? The soccer's going on right now, World Cup football. So, you know, that could be your campaign, and you build these campaigns and you have a set of these campaigns, and then what's really slick is you just quickly point those to the access points, to the SSIDs that you're using, and you can turn them on just like that. So it's very easy to create multiple campaigns and switch the campaigns quickly and easily, so you can actually have independent people building campaigns different from, say, the network, and not impacting your network in any way, because the network already has the SSID set up, the access points are deployed, they're on sites, etc. And so the campaign is just a matter of switching it on. So very, very easy. And by the way, this works across large distributed enterprises as well. I don't have a slide on it, but if you're a national restaurant like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that, and you have locations all across the cities or across, you know, the country for that matter, if you set it up with a consistent SSID for your guests to join, they'll be recognized when they come to get their meal at another location right away, and you can recognize them as a return visitor. Very powerful stuff. Not really going into that today in detail, but that is a consideration as you build these campaigns. So you might say, well, gee, how am I going to build a campaign? That sounds complicated. Well, it's not complicated, because here are three, I just did screenshots here of the actual product, and so they're kind of overlaying each other, so you can't see all of the choices. But starting from the left, we have coupons, then we have landing pages, and then we have splash pages. And each one of those is a template. And the template has all of those components, the widgets, the building blocks. And so you can choose the template you want, and then you customize it. So we make it very, very easy for you. Again, you don't need to know HTML. You don't need to know web design. No experience needed, right? What could you do with this? Well, one of the cool things is we have customers doing things like this. Now, this is obviously made up because it's called Killer Pizza, but, you know, basically we have a number of customers doing this with either their loyalty programs or other programs. But starting on the left, you give them a captive portal, and it says, hey, click in and for a free slice of pizza, use one of our social logins, right? Because you're trying to entice them, because obviously if they log in with a social login, you get more demographics and data about them, and you can give them better service, right? Or if they join your rewards program, some people will say, we'll give you, you know, a free meal, or we'll give you a discount if you join our rewards program, and they tie their rewards program into this. Whatever that carrot is over on the left. In the middle, you can also turn them into promoters, and you make it easy, like by exposing these buttons, like a like button, and as they enter in, say they've selected Facebook, they can easily like it. A window will pop up, maybe with a sample message that you want them to say, hey, this is some, you know, great pizza, I enjoy it here, you know, the music's wonderful, whatever, right? And then later, and throughout that, you can further engage them with coupons, with other things. Some of those are displayed on the pages themselves that they see. Some of those can be SMS or MMS. So think about how you're engaging with your customers, and think how powerful that is. Over time, you can then use analytics to see how effective your campaigns are working for you, right? So with that, let me, because really the best way is to just give you a quick demo here. So let me jump over here. So I've got this is a Mojo, my own environment set up. Most customers will have something similar to this. There are tiles for different components and different capabilities. So I'm going to go right to the Canvas tile. So this is Mojo Canvas. And what it's saying is select a customer. This is because I have multiple accounts. So typically, if it's your own business or your own entity, you would only have one account there, by the way, but it would look the same. And then there are two areas here. We have basic campaigns and professional campaigns. The real distinction is the basic campaign is very, very basic. If you just want to get a quick splash page up, do minimal edits, I would suggest using basic. But for the most part, I think you'll be much more happy if you go right to pro campaigns. And so you can see here are some campaigns that I have created previously, playing around. Here's guest portal. Notice this looks like the screen that you saw earlier in my slides, etc. So you'll have your campaigns here, and you can build multiples of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up on the upper right here, and we're going to click the plus button, which is I want to add a new campaign. And we're going to call this, let's call it main or something, main campaign. Okay, so I've created a main campaign. You now see it here, and it has nothing. It doesn't have any splash pages, no landing pages, coupons, or text, right? So what you do is you click, and it's going to open up. This looks like what was on my slide, right? These are all the templates. Now, the first time you use this, if you're not familiar with the templates, you can just click on the little eye symbol here, which is a preview, and it brings up this page. It lets you kind of look around, see what's on the page, how the boxes are laid out. You can also click the mobile app to see, well, what does this look like when it's displayed on someone's mobile? So basically, there'll be either a swipe to the right or left or scroll up and down. So you can look at that. And if you like that, you can just start editing and working on it. Otherwise, you can go back. I'm going to use this page here, this kind of orange one that was built around food. Notice it's got a carousel, it's got a coupon, and it has social plugins. So what I'm going to do, first off, this is how I prefer to do it, is, well, by the way, it's giving me a message. Please update your terms and conditions. You guys that work in the European Union, I'm sure you've been blasted by GDPR messages and opt-in and all that, so I don't need to spend any time explaining that. But basically, this is what that warning is about. We have a section here on your terms of use and your privacy policy. You can preview what's going to display here on the page, and it's just really important that you take the time to update that as part of your guest portal, because you are collecting information about data subjects, and you must inform them what you're collecting, things like that. Anyways, enough on that. I'm not going to spend time on GDPR. if you have any questions, though, feel free to reach out to us about that. So I've got some pictures here. Some of these are from my iPhone. Some of these are from some screenshots. I was messing around. I've different things. So I kind of like cars. Wouldn't mind having a really fancy sports car, which I don't, by the way. But here we go. So I'm going to open this car, which is an image that I basically did a screenshot is all I did. You want the image, obviously if you're going to use this for production, you need to make sure it's a very high resolution image. I discovered that it's really good to, if you are doing screenshots or clips from PowerPoint or whatever, you want to make sure do them very large, and then if anything, shrink images down. Don't expand images because then they lose their quality. So you can see it was that easy to put that picture on the background, right? If I go back just quickly and say upload a different image, I've got one here of like coffee beans. I was playing around. I'm a big coffee drinker. Boom, there you go. You see it right lot. The screen has changed to the coffee image, right? If I hit cancel, it'll go right back. That's another cool thing about this is you can go into these templates and you can just play around. You can save it. You can cancel. You can open it up and start over again. Very easy to create and experiment. So a couple next things. Here's maybe where your logo would go. Now you can make these clear if you don't want to see them or whatever, but I made a quick logo for this demo. I thought it would be nice. So all I did is went into PowerPoint and I created a black box and I typed in Elite Auto, right? My company is going to be called Elite Auto for today. So there we go. Now we've got Elite Auto. We put a car in the background. You notice here it talks about the foodie, so I'm clicking, see right down here. Maybe I don't want that text, okay? Little pop-up here, you can bold, you can, you know, pretty self-explanatory stuff. I'm just gonna delete that off of there right now. This one, you know, maybe I wanna change, it says the next thing is Wi-Fi, maybe I say, you know, welcome to Elite Auto. Okay, something like that. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, that's difficult to read. Well, you can highlight it and change the color. You can bold, right? You can edit this different ways. It's really not a big deal. And you can, maybe what I would want to do here is change like the background so that it was easier to read. I could change the background, or I could change the text color as well. Either one. See, these are transparency buttons as well, so when you click those it makes it transparent. So let's just leave it like that. Welcome to Elite Auto. I've got a carousel, so I do cars. So let me say I would want to load some images here. Now it's got some placeholders. By the way, you can add more. It's got 3. You can add you can make this 4, for example. There again, you click on the picture, choose image. I go out to my folder here. Some of these are screenshots. Here's one I took from my iPhone. This is an iPhone image that I just made black and white. And I don't know if you can see here where my cursor is, but this slider lets you make that picture big or small to kind of make it fit. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. One other thing, I'll pause right here. If you don't have these pictures or you want to use pictures, maybe you're part of a retail chain and you already have official logos, you have official pictures, you know, Starbucks or something, you know, you have official pages. You can also link to a web page off of this or to another site, things like that. So pretty cool there. So I'm going to save that car. I'm going to go to the next one, and I've got another car picture. This is one. This is a picture I took on a trip to Germany, by the way, in Berlin. It's just a car that was kind of clever looking. So I'm going to choose that one, and I'm going to save it. And I'm just going to say, okay, now I'll leave those tomatoes in the carousel. So now you see that I've got 2 car pictures here on the carousel, and the one with the tomatoes is still there. And you can delete, you can add, you can change that around. Very easy. Same with down here, privacy policy, terms of use. You can not only change these statements just by editing. So this says copyright, the foodies, you know, so you'd want to change that. But you can change the font, you can change the colors, you can change that. Really, really easy. The other powerful thing here, and perhaps the biggest benefit, are the social plugins. Okay, so you see this box, it says sign in for free Wi-Fi. Again, you can edit these fields, but notice it says Facebook, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, and this hamburger stack here, or I think some people call it, that's a web form. So to do that, you go over here and click on plugins, and there's a set of plugins. And one great thing about Mojo Guest Manager is it comes with all these social plugins. They're included in the product. They're made for you, and they're easy to use. So notice here, I can say click through. Click through would be if you just wanted to let your guests just click right on through. You don't require them to do anything. You don't require any information. You could have a simple guest access that's truly click through. Normally that's not used obviously for engagement, but anyways, you could do that. So I'm going to turn that off. Social I've got set, and then I'm going to show you the web form. So for social, we click on the gear, and you notice here here are all of our social: Facebook, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, Instagram, right? All of these. So as you click them, I don't know if you notice here on the left, but as I click them, the box is changing real time on my screen. So let's change it to just be Facebook and Twitter, and if I say done and OK, notice now all I have is Facebook, Twitter, and web form. So let me go back, because I would recommend, I mean, you want your guests to be able to join easily and with their preference. So I would recommend Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, LinkedIn, so you give them preference, give them their choice, right? And then I'll show you web form. The web form is pretty cool. It has a set of fields, which are pretty common fields that you would ask your guest, perhaps, or customer. And then there's one custom field at the bottom which you can create. Notice it says display. So right now it's displaying email, and if I wanted phone number, I'd click that, and then the mandatory field says they have to enter that field in order to allow them to have guest access. Now you might say, why is that important? Well, if you're going to do SMS and send coupons to your customers, guess what? You're going to have their phone number. So you would make that one mandatory. If you're going to tie email and do some kind of email outreach to them, or engage them, or you're going to send them a code or something, then email is mandatory. But things like first and last name, maybe you display it, but you don't make it mandatory. Up to you. So I click on those so that you can see them. So now I'm going to say done, and there's some other plugins and things there that we're not going to have time to go through today. But the cool thing is when you click on these, basically the guests will get prompted for that, and I'll show you that when we put the page in preview mode. Also, this gear pops up again because guess what? I could change that box. See, right now it has a no image. Again, I could do choose image. I could put an image of a car. I could change the background colors. I could make some kind of a pattern. All of that, very easy to customize. As you go. So I think you've seen most of the pieces. There are more little things here, videos and maps and things, but I just wanted to show that to you. So we're going to hit save. It's going to save this campaign, and it's going to ask me, now this is my splash page, so maybe I'll call this splash number 1, because I might make multiple splash pages and I want to reference them. So splash 1, and it's going to save that. Takes just a second here. Now it says, would you like me to publish that? Publishing means it's ready, and if this campaign was pointed at an access point and ready to go, as soon as you publish, then that will be used right away. So you may not publish, you may work on your campaigns, you may want someone to review them, and then you publish them at the end. So here's our splash page, and you can always, when you have a bunch of these splash pages, you can always click here to edit it, rename it, do different things. But one of the things you might want to do is preview it. So now you can see what it looks like. And look at there, I click on the web form, and here's what it would look like, right? It's basically rendering this page to me, so I can see how this page would look. Okay, so that's a splash page. Now you notice there's another one here. So basically, I could keep adding, and I could create 3 or 4 splash pages as part of this campaign, and then publish the one that I want to use. I'm going to quickly do one more. Not going to do too much here, but this is a landing page, just because a landing page now. So the splash page, remember, is the first time your guest walks in. Some places, once they recognize you, once you've become a rewards member, once you have registered at their site, they bypass the splash page, because now you come back to the coffee shop again, and they don't want to give you the splash page every time. So you might think about that, right? But you still want to send them somewhere, so that's where you would send them, say, to your landing page. So going with the car theory, I'm going to click this one, which is a car version, and same way as the other page, you can edit it exactly the same in terms of the fields. One other thing, though, I wanted to show you the movement, because you might be going, well, these templates, Jeff, they're pretty cool, but I don't know, I'd like to make the look a little bit different. Well, you can't go completely crazy and reorganize them, but what you can do is move some things around. So like this is the rose icon, and I could say, you know what, I don't want this as the top, I want this as the bottom. So I just drug that down. Or I can go put it in the columns, and I can move, I can change some of these things. I can also, like you say, well, I don't like the way this says achieve more torque. Well, I can click on move objects within a container, and now I can move these things around. Maybe I put it down here because I prefer it here. Same with 20% off, I can move this here. The only other thing I want to show on here is we support surveys. We support, here's buttons for Apple Wallet and other common buttons. Also notice this one has a map. So when they click on a map, they can see that. And so a lot of flexibility here between choosing your images, changing the text, and moving things around. And if that doesn't meet your needs, don't forget, you can always upload HTML, splash pages and web pages that your design team or your IT team has created, right? We're not preventing that. This is a tool really to make it quick and easy to build beautiful splash pages and get this up and running quickly. All right, so I'm going to just save that. Same thing, this might be landing page 1. And I'm going to publish that one. And then one more, I won't go through all of the save all the changes, but quickly, here's how you change coupons. So again, you look at one that you like. Okay, that looks like a pretty good format. I can edit that. And, again, really easy to put an image on the back. So here's one, I took that picture from my iPhone, and maybe I want this to be a car. I save that, and you can use the move command, and I move around these codes, the coupons so they're more readable. Maybe I edit this or whatever. This is my coupon. So really, really easy. I would say what actually took me more time in doing these things was to find, an image that I prefer, right? I mean, obviously the images are captivating and you need to find, and I just grabbed some for this demo, but you probably spend more time finding images that represent your brand than other things. So now you see my campaign is really filling out. It has splash page, landing page, coupons, text messages are pretty self-explanatory. And there you go. Now we've built a main campaign, and it's in my list here. Publish. Oh, I see. Sorry, the coupon wasn't selected. And so now my main campaign. So now I have all these campaigns. So I could call up IT, or if I'm the guy to do it now, I would go over to Mobile Guest Manager, Mojo Guest Manager, and I would simply connect the campaign to the SSID that's being used for the guest network. And I would make that logical connection. We call that the portal. And I can just point, say, this main campaign to the portal, and then on the weekend or something, I can point this one called guest portal. I mean, I can change those around as I need. So with that, I'll kind of leave that as the demo for now. That's pretty much the main things. And if you have any questions, let me know, or we'll have a little bit of time here at the end. So let me jump back. Okay, so a couple of things. I want to give you a little bit of an overview of how this all fits in with Mojo. You know, we've just seen the splash page, which is Canvas, which is really cool, and hopefully you're really excited about it and you'll try it and you know, benefit from it, which many of, especially smaller businesses, retail, cafes, restaurants, things like that, they really love it because they don't need to buy anything, they don't need a lot of extra things, and you can see how quick and easy they can get their guest network up and running. But part of Mojo, this is part of a bigger set of things and capabilities that go together to make the guest Wi-Fi so powerful. Powered by, you know, the brilliant Wi-Fi that we create through our cognitive Wi-Fi and big data, machine learning, right? We have an optimized network to make it easy to operate and provide the best performance. It's massively scalable. I mean, we have one instance that's I think now 150,000 access points. We have some huge, very scalable, so you can continue to add locations, add access points as you grow. If you're a retail fast food chain or something and you're expanding, you can just easily add those and grow because it's based in the cloud. We have centralized management and visibility. We're not going into that today, but we have a really nice dashboard tool that shows the client journey, that helps focus on any issues even before your clients realize they're having an issue. There's also proactive capabilities for testing and ensuring the network is ready to go before a main event. In the lower section there, you see wireless security. We're PCI compliant. We have GDPR compliance. We have in there what you need, so you can do that with your guests. We also, by the way, have a fully ISO certified cloud. Our cloud is ISO certified in all of its operations, so you can certainly count on that. And then analytics, which I'm going to get to in just a minute, and how you leverage the analytics once you've set up your guest portals. And as I've shown you a little bit, we've just touched on, but how you can drive customer loyalty and engagement using these tools. So I put this slide together. There are so many things around Mojo Guest Analytics and just Mojo Analytics overall that could be a 1-hour presentation probably. But what I want you to be thinking about is, now that we've used that canvas and we think of yourself as one of these establishments, from a university using it for guests or as people come on board, or for large events and you want to direct them with maps to where they need to go, or if you're trying to track your retail sales and you're doing a marketing campaign, maybe you put some advertising in a window, maybe you use advertising in different ways, and you align those campaigns with your guest portal. If you notice this upper chart, footfall by duration, you can see by date and by time the unique daily visitors, and you can track how that's happening. So if you were to set different campaigns at different days of the week or run different campaigns, you could come back and use the analytics to see your results. We have zone analytics. You can see when they're inside your establishment, what are the average number of visitors per hour, for example. And there are some other, attributes to this as well. But where are they all? I mean, are they all gravitating to a certain side of the business? Are they very interested in something you've put there? We also have store loyalty. So we track, because once they've entered your guest network, you recognize them when they come back, right? Not only to give them personalized service, but the system recognizes them. So we can do analytics to say how many people are frequent visitors, very frequent, or loyal visitors. And you can track this. Now this is saying main floor, because this is a screen that I captured right here from our own building. But actually all of these screens are from our own building. But where it says main floor, keep in mind that if you were a distributed enterprise and you had 5 different locations, you would show those 5 locations and you could see the frequency there. So for example, at one of your restaurants, if you were offering, 20% off, coupons, over time you could see how's the traffic being driven to that location? Is that campaign really working? So that's the real value of Canvas, is engaging your customers and creating these powerful campaigns and then coming through the analytics to measure those. And then the last screen that I've captured here, again from our portal here in our own building, is social logins. So these are, most people have used either LinkedIn or Facebook. Looks like one person used Twitter. There I am, I logged in at the bottom using LinkedIn. But basically there's a number of fields. I'm not showing them all there, but notice at the end it has number of visits. So you could trigger off of that, by the way. How many times have they come? Wow, this person's been here more than 5 times in a certain period of time. Wow, that's someone who I should give, a better deal to, or that's someone who I should reach out to. And all of these analytics, and there's much, much more than these. These are just a few screenshots. Keep in mind that all of these analytics are available also as reports and through our open API. So that brings me to the next part of this, which we're not covering in great depth, but as you build your splash pages, as you create your campaigns, what else do you need to involve? What's the big picture you're solving for? Do you have a loyalty program? Do you have a rewards card? Do you have something else that's part of your business? So how, integrating with that server, maybe you want this data to be sent from the Mojo solution into some other system. Maybe you want to incorporate that into these splash pages. Maybe you want buttons that launch them somewhere, those types of things. Also, there's this in-browser type digital marketing, very much detailed, where, we're working with different partners in different ways. Some of them even use GPS, and, as long as customers have opt-in, they can market to you when you're even outside of that location, right? And it's all available through our APIs to support these different workflows. So be sure and reach out to the guys at Open Reality, or directly to Mojo Sales, or to myself, and we can provide you more information on these types of things. But it's really much more than just the guest portal that your customer is seeing. So I want to kind of leave with, we believe at Mojo that we provide the best and the most feature-rich, cost-effective guest solution, which I know I've just quickly shown, and we spent, by the way, most of our time on Canvas. There's a bunch of other pieces that I'm not showing you around, content filtering, access to sites, like if you have this portal in a school or a library, what are you blocking? There's network policies. There's a number of other settings, and I don't want to diminish that by any means. There's much there that you're not seeing. So I want to remind you of this extensive guest management, right? And isolating your guest network from your core network or from your employees, keeping your data safe and secure, etc. But it includes the Canvas, our architecture, which is web-based, which makes it super easy to add and grow and expand. The licensing is very, very simple. And you see there at the bottom, it's all included. I mean, cognitive Wi-Fi, the airtight whips, right? That's our wireless intrusion protection, the best in the industry to protect your guests. So even while your guests are sitting in your coffee shop, WIPS is running on that access point, and it's preventing rogue APs, it's preventing honeypots and all these kinds of things. That's included. The guest access is included. The analytics and reporting that I just showed you, and the third-party API access, and of course 24/7 support. So when you look at a Mojo access point, you're working with Open Reality, you're working with Mojo, make sure you're considering all of those costs, because when you look at the Mojo cloud license, everything here is included. And almost all of our competitors for cloud Wi-Fi or even controller-based legacy type Wi-Fi solutions, they all require you to purchase additional software services, in some cases deploy additional hardware to do guest access, to do the kind of analytics, to do locationing. So keep in mind that everything is included here when you're doing a comparison, if you are in the market and you're looking for a new Wi-Fi solution. So with that, let's stop and see Brandon and Carlos. Do we have any questions?
Fantastic, Jeff. Thank you. Yes, we have a couple of questions. So the first question is the Facebook like a requirement to log in or optional?
Yeah, that's actually optional. You don't force them to do the like. That's just I gave that as an example that some people will do, but we use the Facebook login here in our guest access, and you can just click right through with your Facebook credentials. And by the way, there's also some controls on that in terms of what data is being pulled. There's probably some questions. Obviously, Facebook is in the news, right? So you can also, as you configure that, control, you know, what data is also being collected on the users, because you'll need to notify them as part of GDPR what you're using.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jeff. The next one is, obviously, in terms of screen resolutions, does it scale for different devices such as mobile?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I forgot to show that once we were in there. Yeah, that was where I wonder, that might be worth really quickly.
Well, we're doing good for time, so if you want to go back to that, that's not a problem.
Am I still sharing?
You're still sharing.
Okay, so let me show you that really quick, because that's a very good question, and you know what? I'm sorry, I actually meant, wait, actually not edit. Let me, sorry. Let me hit the preview here. So for the person who asked that, I'm showing you the desktop mode, right? Because I'm on desktop and that's just what I'm thinking of. But that's a very good question. What do they see on mobile, right? We wouldn't want to give them this big page because it wouldn't make any sense. Every one of these screens has the mobile on the side here, right? And notice how it just re-rendered my page. Elite Auto, here's how it scrolls. Here's how the cars are shown. Remember, the tomato was still in there from when I did it. So this one is going to scroll this way. Sometimes, by the way, they scroll like left or right. So the Facebook login will be right up at the top, and it'll go back or forth. But yeah, this is how you see the mobile view. So hopefully that helped answer your question.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Great. That was good. Thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot to show that.
Not a problem. The next question is, can the splash screen be completely white labeled? So obviously any Mojo logos be removed if required?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one that I'm using there doesn't have any of the Mojo logos. Now, maybe where they're asking is,
I think the question, just to give it a little bit more background on that, I think where the question might be, it was a bit of a long question, so I'm hoping we're sort of compiling it well, but I think the question is more around, you know how the URLs generally say, you know, Mojo Networks /customer //page / you know, whatever it might be. Is that able to be fully white labeled as well? Is obviously including, you know, removing any Mojo or any sort of other identifying marks that aren't required or necessary?
That I don't know. We'll have to go back and see. Since these web pages are saved in the cloud, I think if you use this cloud version, that they probably would render, you know, it'll basically say Mojo Cloud / whatever, because that's where that page lives. One way around that, though, that I'm aware of is once you create one of these, you can download it as a package. I forget what those are called, like an HTML package. And so I would think you could probably rename that and then upload it, right? Or link in another way. I'm showing you the cloud web page that's using the designer, simple, easy, right? And everything's there for you. But certainly with an AP, you can load your own web pages that wouldn't have any Mojo, and they would point directly to your pages. So maybe there's something there, and that's how you would do it. Maybe you would save the Mojo campaign, rename it, load it on your server, and then use, you know, an address to that, something along those lines. But let's take the question to our technical guys and make sure that it gets answered correctly. But I'm thinking that's how.
Not a problem. I can hit that one up. Thanks for that, Jeff.
Great stuff. And then the last one today, Jeff, is how do in-browser ads work within the browser session?
Yeah, so I touched on that one, and I didn't spend much time on it or attempt to show it to you today, because that in-browser, to fully do in-browser, which you can imagine, I mean, you're in your browser and you're walking through the store and you're shopping or you're whatever, and it's displaying things to you. That requires another partner. That's the one piece that is not included to do full in-browser experience based on location, etc. And so one of the companies we work with is called Rogapa, and we could send you some information afterwards. There are a couple other ones. There's one called Forno. There's a number of different ones that we can integrate with to provide that in-browser experience. So now you're kind of getting into another level of customer engagement. The session today was really, here's the, you know, get a splash page up and running in minutes. Perhaps you're a smaller size business and you don't have the skills. That was a little bit more of the focus for today, but we can definitely do much more sophisticated in-browser, you know, customer journey, customer engagement with third-party partners.
Well, I mean, if the delegate would like to see more information on that, perhaps what we can do is we can take that offline and obviously work with the delegate on that one. I think, Brandon,
let's really understand the requirements, make sure, and then we can maybe give some, you know, customer references, or if you want to see something around Rogapa, I think we may have some information with them as well, and some of the other partners.
Fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. And this is actually a question from myself, Jeff. So hopefully you can answer it. If not, I might have put you in the stick on the last one. So paid and free access and various sort of authentication methods. You've obviously mentioned social login. You've got forms, that sort of thing. I had a customer the other day ask if we could do a combination of the two, perhaps, or does that require some sort of third-party integration as well?
Well, you can do a combination in the sense that you give them choice, like I just did in the demo, where you have the social logins, but I also had a web form, and then like you can even have a third one, which is a guest registration. You know, I didn't go into all the plugins. Radius was another one I probably should have mentioned. I mean, if you're a bank or a larger establishment, you may already have a Radius server that you're using or some type of server for email authentication, things like that. We can integrate with those as well. But back to your question there, once you can present multiple methods to log in, but the customer or the guest only chooses one, right? So if they choose the web form, they'll enter information and then they're allowed access. If they choose Facebook, they'll go through Facebook. And what I'm finding is many of our customers definitely do that. They give social logins as choice, and then they have maybe a web form or a different authentication method, because some customers won't want to use their Facebook login, for example. Did that answer your question, or would you, how would you combine the two?
I think it was more around an offering in the sense where perhaps you wanted to do a limited data rate, or perhaps a limited time for a customer.
Okay.
To do 60 minutes on free social media, and then perhaps you pay $10 and you receive, or £10, should I say? I should remember where I am in the world. And perhaps then you receive, higher throughput, or you receive, longer time, or whatever it might be. So
Yes. So I didn't go into that portal either. There's actually a number of these plugins, right? And maybe you saw them appearing on the screen, but I could have maybe I should go through every single one. But one of the ones that we have is a registration method where you can do payment tiers. And by payment, it can be so many pounds, right, per minute, or you have so many hours in a week or a month, kind of like a pay-as-you-use card where it gets decremented every time you log in. And you can also, as part of those payment tiers, you can do what are called free tiers. So you could say at the coffee shop, you know, the first 15 minutes is free. You know, any customer gets to use 15 minutes because they bought a coffee, they're there. But then maybe they buy after that, or some of the things you're talking about, can they pay more for more time? We do have capabilities in that area, and our first integration was done with a company called Stripe, so we can even handle credit card payments, PayPal payments, other kinds of payments.
No, that's brilliant. I thought I'd throw you a curveball, and you've handled it well. So thank you for that, Jeff.
I mean, that's one thing I can't stress it enough. Mojo Guest Manager, all of those things are included. All of those plugins. You don't need to figure that out. You don't need to pay someone to do that. You don't need to have a lot of extra effort to connect to with LinkedIn or with Instagram or whatever. So it's all included. It's part of the license. There's no additional cost. There's no additional maintenance. There's no charges. There's nothing. It's part of the product. And some people go, wow, this is like a hidden gem at Mojo. We didn't even know it had that. We knew that it was cloud Wi-Fi, but we didn't know. And that's why we did this session on Canvas, as you know, because a lot of people don't even realize what's under the hood.
Fantastic. Jeff, thank you so much for obviously your presentations today. Obviously, we'll get the account managers to reach out to everybody after the session. The recording will be available probably tomorrow now. So please do share that, or if you'd like to rewatch any element of what we've seen today, it will be available. But for everybody, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and we look forward to working with you all in the future. Brandon, Jeff, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Carlos.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Bye.